Welcome back to the channel, everyone. I trust that you're doing well. In this video, we're going to take a look at the price action of Ethereum. We could be on the precipice of a fairly big move coming into the crypto space sometime in the not too distant future. But the question is, does that move come to the upside, or are we going to get that move to the downside? I'm going to pull up the chart. I'm going to show you some levels that I'm watching and paying very close attention to. So let's get into it. And here we have Ethereum up on the daily chart in TradingView. And at the time of recording, we see Ethereum making an attempt to solve this short-term resistance that I got marked on my chart with this purple box. That purple box has a bottom side coming in at 1,725 and a top side coming in at approximately 1,789. On my last analysis, Ethereum was playing out this short-term pullback right here, and I was mentioning that through a lens of a bull, what you'd be looking for is you'd be looking for Ethereum to stick in a higher low as opposed to this very obvious pivot point back here. And I was mentioning that, whether Ethereum does that here and now, or even if it wants to pull back a little bit further, as long as you get that higher low, the likely outcome would be an attack of resistance once again. And now we're seeing that play out. So it's nice to see that the bulls stepped in, and I do like how the bulls are approaching resistance right now. I mean, we see this all happening on a higher high, higher low structure. So a little bit of accumulation present here in this overall bear market rally. And Ethereum certainly has been a market leader for a little while. As far as I'm concerned, it's been one of the more powerful charts. And it seems to me that Ethereum's pretty much put the rest of the market in his backpack and has began to climb the mountain. We do know that there's a very significant fundamental event coming up for Ethereum in the not so distant future. And as of right now, price structure is suggesting that perhaps we're going to see Ethereum continue to rally into that event. It is notable that a lot of the time, these kinds of events can be a sell the news kind of event. I do think we're way too far out from that event for that idea to be present here and now. But typically that'll happen within a week of the event. So it could be a few days before the event, it could be a few days after the event. But it'll be interesting to see if Ethereum continues to rally into that event. And let's say the sellers do step in. It could be short-term profit takers that are maybe playing this as a swing trade. But it'll be very interesting to analyze the selling, if the selling even shows up around that time. What is it going to be? Corrective selling? Is it going to be a massive violent dump that ultimately leads to, the overall bear market lower high structure intact? I'll be more than happy to come back and assess the price action around that time to see, because, we could just see some profit taking around that time, which leads to another higher low in price structure, which could imply even more continuation into Q4. So be very, very curious to see what happens there. However, my conditions for this, first and foremost, is I do want to see Ethereum break through this resistance, which it's very close to doing right now. The volume down below is okay. I mean, it's getting above the moving average here, but I would like to see this volume begin to engulf the volume that is coming before it, for it to be more convincing, if you will. I want to see this area get resolved on candle body closures, and then I want to see it flipped into support. So the good old SR flip, the former resistance, getting flipped into future support. And that's when I think Ethereum will be confirming its next leg up in this bear market rally. We can also see that this price structure is supported by a bullish cross between the 21 and 55 down below here. And overall, that's a pretty good look. If you look left, these signals can be quite significant, even in the context of a bearish cross. I mean, we see a bearish cross take place right here, which ultimately led to a really nasty dump to the downside. Now, typically the way I like to play crosses, whether it's a golden cross or a bearish cross, is first of all, I look for the moving average to cross through. So the 21 getting through the 55 in this case. That's condition number one. That puts it on my radar. The next thing I like to see is I like to see price action pull into that cross. So we want to see that cross take place and then price action pull into it like a magnet. If price action does that and then confirms a pivot point there, for me, that's when that signal is perfectly playable for a trade. And you can see on this bearish cross right here, you got two tests of that. You got price action was selling off here. You got the cross. Bulls rallied into it, bears stepped in. You see it even happen again right here. And then what happens from there? You get a massive drive to the downside. And I mean, even if we measure it from right here, that came into a 70% move to the downside. Now, keep in mind, these crosses will play most powerfully in the context of the trend. So in this case here, the bearish cross was certainly powerful because, I mean, the macro was in the context of a downtrend. If you look left a little bit, not too far away from this bearish cross here, you see a bullish cross here. Price action never did necessarily pull into that one. But, even in the context of an overall bear market, that one still produced a 16% pop to the upside. But I wouldn't necessarily consider this signal a powerful one. But if we look left a little bit further, you can see a bearish cross taking place right here. You see the cross happen there. You see price action pull into it here. And then what do you get? You get a massive drive to the downside. I mean, wick to wick, about 47%. So great signal given there. Go back a little bit further in time. We see a bullish cross take place here. Remember, this bullish cross was coming on the heat, in the context of a macro uptrend. We were experiencing a little bit of a daily downtrend here with a lower high, lower low structure. But the macro at this point in time was still very bullish. So when the pullback came in, where is it? The pullback happened here. It merely hit this horizontal, and then the rest was history. I mean, what we saw here in the midterms, we saw a 65% move, which ultimately led to a 99% move. So it was a pretty good signal there. And with this one here, as long as price action is pulling into something relevant, whether that is right into the moving averages themselves or a significant level of support. In this case here, we got the level of support. It pulled into a level of support and then boom, it was out. So a very, very, very bullish test of that signal. Right here, you see a bearish cross get fired off here. You see price action pull into it, and then that was your go signal to the downside. And what did we get there? I just lost it there. My keyboard, I think the batteries are dying in it, so it does all kinds of crazy things on me as I'm trying to make videos. It's a lot of fun. Anyways, we got a move about 36%. I mean, that one was certainly tradable. And I think there's another example back here. If we go back in time, we see a failed signal here to the downside. So you see this little fake out right here, but it did lead to a bullish cross to the upside, which was tested right here. And I mean, this is pretty self-explanatory. The rest was history, massive move to the upside. So it is worth considering that we are getting the signal firing off, in the context of a bear market. However, the last time we saw that signal fired off in a bear market was back here, and we did have an ingredient missing here. We were missing the pullback. We've gotten that here. I consider that a pullback and a test of it, and a successful test. And we also are aware of the fundamental event that Ethereum has coming up in the not so distant future. So this one could be implying some nice upside. Now, I think the bullish case for this begins to fall apart. It's always good to discuss the possibilities to the other side of the analysis. I mean, for me personally, I know I'm not looking at a crystal ball. There's going to be times that, even though if I find a statistical advantage over the market, so if an edge is present, I know that doesn't guarantee me anything. So for me, I like to protect my capital. I like to look for conditions where these ideas fall apart, bias busters, if you will. And in this case here, I'd say that Ethereum starts to come under pressure. If it rejects from resistance here, starts taking out this pivot point here. So perhaps if it starts to fall down below, 1,558, and the big line in the sands would be if it gets below this obvious pivot point here. And I went ahead and marked this one with this purple box. It has a top side coming at 1,441, and it has the bottom side coming in at 1,359. If Ethereum starts to close down below that level, then I think that's more than enough of a bias buster for me. And I think that it would become probable that Ethereum works its way down to the bottom side of the range, perhaps testing down around 1,014. But I'm not viewing that as a probable scenario, but that's certainly how I would be managing my risk to make sure that I don't get wrecked. And then I'd be reassessing price action from there. If it gets down to the bottom side of that range, likely it'll produce a bounce, maybe even a tradable bounce, and then we'll take it from there. I like to go level by level versus trying to crystal ball my way to victory, as that is simply not a thing. Anyways, for anybody also that doesn't have TradingView already, I'm going to leave a link for TradingView in the pinned comment down below, as well as in the description of this video. You used to be able to use TradingView for free, and you might still be able to. I know I used a free version of this for the longest time. So I'm going to leave a link for you to sign up if you choose, and then you can follow along with my videos or anyone else's that you might be following. At the very least, they probably have a free trial, so you can at least try TradingView, see if you even like it, if it's a good fit for you. But anyways, I'm going to leave a link for you in the description down below, in the pinned comment. Feel free to sign up and play around with TradingView. Anyways, thanks so much for coming by and checking out this video. Looking forward to seeing the next one. And until I do, have yourself a powerful day.